All right, so the recording's going, and I'm going to start with Glenna's question in the chat. She says, I'm pretty new at this. Tell me what a flex shift is. There is just me and our son, so how do I go about doing a shift of the spur of the moment? It hasn't been working well for me. So how a flex shift works is, say you're going to be caring for your son for 1 hour that day or 2 hours or however long you want the shift to be. You could set it for a flex shift and then just put in 2 hours, and then anytime during that entire calendar day, so if it's January 12th, you can clock in and clock out for any 2-hour period during that day without having to set exact time parameters for the shift. So people that are using caregiver compensation, that's a very easy way to set your shifts, is to just do flex shifts, because the timing doesn't really necessarily matter as much. For people that are having caregivers coming in and out of the home, sometimes those like set time parameter shifts are better, just because they can say, hey, I need you here at my house from 1 to 3. But when the time parameters don't really matter as much, you can just set it as a flex shift and then just clock in and out when it works best for you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Okay, perfect. And then Mary Ann says, my app has not been showing my caregivers notes on their shifts. I just see the questions they are prompted to answer. Do we know if that was resolved in the update that went out last night? I'm going to take that to our Give team. Andrew, take that.
Hey everyone. Yes, so the latest version of the caregiver apps as well as the PIC apps do show the updated note prompts. And then they are also now backwards compatible with old shift notes as well. So if there was any notes taken prior to that update, you'll be able to see those notes now.
Amazing, thank you. I am going to go ahead and log into this meeting from my phone and share my screen, and then we will move into the app demo portion of this call. To show you some new features in both the pink PIC app and the blue caregiver app as well. So bear with me for a moment while I open 7 wrong apps before getting into my calendar app to open the meeting. Okay. All right. Okay, is that done echoing? Okay, I think we're good. Okay, can everyone see my phone screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna grab our password for our demo app. Okay. So logging in should look pretty straightforward and similar to how you guys have experienced that in the past. Before we hop into the shift creation point of this call, I'm going to show you. Oh, Cassie, go ahead.
Sorry, I might jump in if something's there.
No,
Raise my hand. On the login screen, you did it very fast, which is great. If one thing that was updated in the newest version is there's a little I next to the password, and so now you can see your password as you type it. So before you wouldn't be able to see what you're typing, so sometimes fat fingers happen, but now you can. So that's a very big thing that was exciting. Now we got little but big.
I can go back and show that. Do you want me to show it, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Log out.
So yeah, now we can click this eyeball, and then I'm just pasting the password, but you can see all the characters, and then you can just log in that way. So when you type, you can see every single letter that you're typing in real time. So now when you, okay, there we go. When you click the hamburger icon in the top right corner, you can go to your teams, and you'll, oh, it's not showing on our testing apps still. But right here under your caregiver's name, it should tell you how many hours your caregiver worked that week. And so you can like kind of track, are they approaching that 40-hour cutoff or not? So on your app, you should be able to see that on this team page. It would be right under Carrie's name. Is that correct, Cassie?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And we
So,
can
yeah.
see now. I can attach a screenshot as well. Andrew, yeah, we'll let him speak too.
Yep. And it's also on the create shift page as well. So when you select your caregiver from the dropdown, you'll be able to see their hours worked.
Perfect. So yeah, let's go ahead and create a shift together. So we'll hit that create a new shift button. And then I'm sure most of you guys know this, but I have gotten a few emails, so I do want to highlight it in case it's new for anyone. At the bottom of your shift, if you hit this yes button, it will save all the fields that you typed in. So then when you go to make a shift, you can hit create shift from template, and it will show any templates that you've made previously. So all the data will just populate for you, and all you have to do is change the dates and times, and everything else will be filled in. So for people that are doing the same exact shift every single day, that's just a really helpful tool for you to have. But we will just name this shift Jane Thursday because it's Thursday and our demo person's name is Jane. But as you know, you can make the shift titles whatever makes the most sense for you. You'll pick the same care code that you're billing, just like you always do. Most of you might only have one code that shows up here if you're just doing supported living, but for those with multiple codes, those will appear here. And then you'll click a caregiver from your team. And I believe this is where DJ said that you should also be able to see how many hours they've already worked. And so that will be highlighted here. So you can see, oh, if my person's already worked 39 hours this week, then I can only schedule this one shift for 1 hour so that they don't go beyond that 40-hour max. Then you can type in the location. And so you'll hit the change location button and put in whatever address the shift is going to be occurring in. I believe there was there an update to how that looked previously? Could you touch on that, Cassie?
Yeah, previously there was a box that you typed it in and it didn't autofill the address smartly. You know, I don't know how to speak on these terms as good as tech does. But now when you start typing the address, it'll show addresses near you. So you should be able to just click on it. It's a lot faster.
Cool. And then if you have an apartment or suite number, indicate that here. This part is new to the shift creation. It says, does the client need transportation during the shift? Yes or no. And then I do want to just remind everyone that if your caregiver is under the age of 16, they are not authorized to transport a client during a shift. So just keep that in mind when you're scheduling your caregiving visits with various caregivers on your team, that the younger ones cannot drive. And so in a lot of situations that might be yes, in a lot of situations might be no. Click whichever one applies. Select the date for the shift. You can touch the calendar and the date will pop up and you can pick whichever one will work best. And then the flex shift question. This goes back to what Glenna was asking. If it does not matter the exact start and end times of the shift, you can just put in however many hours you plan on working that day. Especially, again, if you're a parent doing caregiver compensation, those start and end times might not really matter that much. So you can just put in 5 and just know that you can clock in at any time during the day and then 5 hours later, clock out in your Blue Caregiver app. If the start and end time does matter, say no, this is not a flex shift, and then you can indicate the correct times that you want the shift to happen right here. So we can start at 11:30, we can end it at 3. And set it how we want it. In the notes section, you can just put in whatever helpful information you want for the shift. So please take Jane to the park. Help her get dressed and eat dinner this evening. And then you can add some activity suggestions. And the nice thing about the activity suggestions is that when you list things here, it creates a checklist in the Caregiver app. So when the caregiver logs into the app, they literally have to check boxes saying that they completed the activities that you list here. So it can be go to the park, if I can spell right. And then you can just write a brief note like, help Jane get dressed and take her to the park for an hour. And then you save the activity and it looks like that. And then you can just add like another one if you want, like make dinner and then make dinner and have Jane help. And so those two things will appear in a checklist for the caregiver in the Caregiver app when you create the shift. And so then again, if you want to save the shift as a template, you can. And if you don't want to save it as a template, you can hit the no button, and then you'll just hit that create shift button. And now this sends it over to the Caregiver app, just like we've always seen. Are there any other things you want to touch on in this app before we transfer over, Cassie?
Yes. Do you want to go to the budget? The little person at the bottom?
Yes. Okay, yep. And so we do have this new screen for the budget tracking. So you can see how many remaining hours they have for each of the codes that they're billing for the month and for their plan year. So when you click on plan total, it shows you all of the hours. And when you go to this month, it just shows you what you have left for the month. And then when you scroll down, you can see any caregiver notes that were written. Clearly our demo was very, those aren't real words, but we know that. It's fine. And so you can see any of those things when you scroll down, and then those new budget views right there. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight?
Can you go to the calendar as well?
Yes. And then can you share what is new here in the calendar?
So the view of the calendar is way different, and you can also click on, I believe you can click on a random day, not one that has a shift.
Oh, hang on. We're frozen.
Happens to me too.
I'm going to close out and go back in real quick. Okay, clicking on a random day. Nothing's happening. Oh, no. It lets me click on the shifts, but doesn't let me click on a blank spot in the calendar. Was it supposed to let me click on a blank spot?
DJ, do you know the answer to that? I thought
Yeah,
it
so
was.
right
Okay.
now there's no creation of shifts from the calendar. It's just to view your current confirmed shifts.
Okay, so we should only see shifts that have been made.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Yep, so then you can see these time blocks in the calendar do correlate with the start and end times made for whatever shifts you have scheduled for the week. So you can scroll down and see all of those time blocks that you have there. Anything else in the PIC app, Cassie?
I don't think so, but I guess we can go over questions if you want for this app first, and then we can switch over to the caregiver. And I'll look and see if there's anything we might be missing.
Yep. Mary Ann says, will it show how many hours they're scheduled for? Does my caregiver see the title of the shift? Yes and yes, correct? Yep, so they will see whatever you title the shift, they will see that. And then they will be able to see when they go to accept the shift in the Blue Caregiver app, they'll be able to see the time parameters for the shift as well. Awesome. I am going to go switch over to the Blue app. You'll log in the same exact way that you do in the Pink app. And then when you scroll down to, it's not showing the shift we just made. Let me log back out.
Just pull to refresh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, good.
So yes, as DJ was saying, I could have just pulled down and refreshed it, and that would have worked too. So now we'll see that Jane Thursday shift that I just made. And when we click on that, we can see the date and the start and end time right here at the very top. That was one of the questions. And then when you scroll down, you can see the address, you can see the requested activities, and then you have the option to accept or decline the shift. So I'll hit accept and say, yes, I can work the shift. And then when you see your upcoming shifts, today we'll see the one that we just confirmed. And then you'll scroll down and you can hit the clock in button just like you always have. And then when you scroll right here at the very top, you'll see the notes from the Guardian. So you can see those notes that we just wrote when we created the shift. We can see the goals of the client. So this client's goals are to be in the community and gain job skills, but these goals get pulled from the PCSP and are individual to every single one of the clients. So whatever goals you've identified in the PCSP, your caregivers will now be able to see that right in front of their face every single day in real time when they clock in for their shift. So everyone should always be aware of what the goals are. And I think that will help them to be able to keep that in mind while they're caregiving. In this activity section, you can see the activities that we put when we created the shift. And when your caregiver completes the activity, they can mark it as done by hitting the check button and it turns it to complete. And then you can do the same thing here. You can also write any notes that you might want to note about that activity. You can identify those there. And then you can again hit done and it will mark that activity is complete. So that's really nice for some caregivers that need a to-do list of what they're actually going to do. You can provide that for them in the app. Recording catch up to my phone because it's lagging a little bit. All right, and then you can see the new notes section. So this looks very different from what you guys have been used to with the last couple years with us, but these questions that we are asking in the app section come directly from Medicaid. And these are the things that Medicaid wants to know to continue services for the client. So every single quarter, when we're writing a quarterly summary for Medicaid, this is ultimately the information that Medicaid wants to know. And so we are asking you guys to provide that information for us. If these questions have the same answers every single shift, because the shift is the same day after day, by all means, copy and paste the same answers into the boxes every single time. But that's why this is because it was the information that Medicaid specifically needs about the shifts. There is a character minimum, meaning that you have to type 50 characters, which is about 7 words in the English language. So we're not trying to get you to write a paragraph or anything super long and lengthy, but it can be super simple, like we took to the park and helped her get dressed and ready to leave. And you can see that the box hit green, and once it hits green, you've written enough information. If you want to provide more information, by all means, but once that box has hit green, you've met our gold star for the day. The next question is, what was the behavior today of the client? So you can write something like, Jane was happy for most of the day, but had a hard time leaving the park and got agitated. So great. We now know the behavior of the client. The box is green. We can move on. What was discussed today to improve the next meeting with the client? And so if you and the person in charge, the legal guardian, if it's you as the parent doing caregiver compensation, if you have any goals or things that you'd like to try in the next shift, you can note that here. If there wasn't anything discussed to improve for next time, I'm going to go out on a limb and Cassie can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can write in the box that we did not have a discussion about changing things for next time. Is that fair, Cassie?
Yeah, as long as it hits the minimum requirement.
Yes, we just want 7 words from you is really all we want at this point. So you can even, you can just write, we did not have a discussion about improving the next shift. And then from there, I should type correctly. Okay, and then from there you can clock out and hit review notes. You say, yes, I'm ready. It will take you to the purple screen, I believe. We'll find out in just a second. Okay, so then you'll scroll all the way down and you will submit report and close the shift. And that takes those hours that you just worked and officially submits your time card to us. We bill Medicaid, Medicaid pays us, we pay you every Friday via direct deposit. And it's a happy life cycle that I think we're all enjoying at this point. Are there any questions about this app? I see a few in the chat, so I'll read them. I'm the only caregiver, so when I hit my name, it does not show my hours. DJ, take it away.
Yeah, Glenna, so are you on a Apple device or an Android device?
An Apple.
An Apple? Okay. Do you happen to have the latest update for the Pink app?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm technologically challenged. so-
You're totally fine. Yeah, so what you'll want to do is just go into test flight and just make sure you have the latest app update. And then it doesn't matter if you are the only caregiver on your team, you should still be able to see the number of hours you've worked.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
I'll show that to you
and-
in real time. So what DJ is saying is right here, you can see the 3 apps for Giv.care, the test flight, and then
Yes.
our 2 other apps. When you
Okay,
click on test flight, and then if you have not updated it, you should be able to click on your blue app and it will prompt you to update the app when you click on it. Mine didn't because I already have it updated, but that's how you do it. You just go in and click on the apps, and then you can do the same thing for the PIC app as well. And you'll open it and it will automatically update when you click those.
great. Okay, thank you.
Marianne said, you said it shows how many hours they've worked that week, so we can start under 40, but will it show how many they're scheduled for so I can stay under the 40 hours? Cassie, I see you nodding your head yes, so I'm going to assume the answer to that is yes.
DJ, I didn't know if you were, did you start talking?
Oh, yeah, no, so I was just gonna say, so as of now, let me double check. I believe we are just putting the hours worked. The hours scheduled aren't, because there's kind of a different, because when a shift is created, it then goes to the caregiver for confirmation that they are gonna be accepting that shift. So there's different brackets that we've broken down the times in, or the allotted times in. So it's like, they have pending shifts, and then they have confirmed shifts, and then they have worked shifts. Right now, we're only displaying hours worked. If that's something that that you guys would like, we can include that in as well, and break it down. So it'll say 20 hours out of 40 worked, but they have like 13 hours that are pending or scheduled.
And Paige, can you go real quick back into the Caregiver app? So what DJ is kind of talking about too is this top bar, which you can't see if you're a PIC, unfortunately, unless you're a PIC that's also caregiver. And then you could see what's worked here, but you see how it says worked in purple, confirmed and requested. You can click on those and hours will show up. So Paige, will you click on worked?
So it's not
See how
changing because there's like nothing scheduled for the demo currently.
But it does 0.14, so it's
Yes.
a little something. But then this will show, so this is an average week. So our weeks are Sunday through Saturday. So that's January 28th through February 3rd is a week. And so then you'll be able, your caregivers will be able to see when they're getting close to 40 based on this, of what they confirmed and they've worked. So if it's Wednesday and they've already worked Sunday through Wednesday, they'll be able to know on Wednesday how much they've already clocked, and then maybe what they've accepted through the weekend, and whether or not they're going to be able to complete all of that. So that's just a little something that is new with the new update. It's this little bar.
And when you, yeah, go ahead, DJ.
Paige, if you pull to refresh, you should be able to see a requested shift of like 10 hours, and you should see that come up.
Yep, there it goes.
Go. Yeah, it was like 9 hours, sorry. So once Paige confirms this shift, it's hours test at the bottom. So go ahead and confirm that. You'll show it turn green and into confirmed.
Yep.
And then once Paige works that and clocks into it, it'll take the actual hours that the caregiver clocked in and clocked out at and move it to worked and turn purple.
You don't, Patrick allows it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll go to incomplete, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now it's also gonna just say like 0.01 hours for work. It's only if Paige stays clocked in for that full 9 hours will those switch to work. And that's why we display, because sometimes shifts end up being either shorter or maybe even longer than what they're scheduled for. And that's why we determined that the actual hours worked was the most accurate for keeping the 40-hour times. But we can add the confirmed or requested if needed.
Perfect. And then I'm going to take sorry if I butcher your name, Elk's question in the chat. It says, what is TestFlight? I have only heard of other 2 apps, but we are brand new to this process. So TestFlight is only applicable to Apple users. Can you confirm if you have an Apple phone or not? Anyway, so if you have an Apple phone, oh, she says I do not. Okay, so yeah, it's only applicable to Apple users. So our apps are not available for download directly in the Apple App Store. And so TestFlight is what allows our apps to work on people's phones. And then we send our Apple users a direct link to download. Oh, your husband does have Apple. Okay, yep. So if your husband does work shifts on his phone, he'll download the TestFlight app first, and then he'll be able to get invite links to download our apps. And then they will work through TestFlight. 99% of the time, you never have to go into the TestFlight app, only when we have updates. And you can also turn on automatic updates. But the TestFlight app basically just exists on the phone so that our apps work, is how that works. Glenna asked, how do I change my password? DJ, do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah. So Glenna, what you'll do is you're going to go into, yeah, we'll have Paige just do it real quick. So don't actually change the password here though, Paige. So yeah. Okay. So basically, so what you'll do is you'll type in your phone number on the front screen, and then you'll hit forgot password. It's going to bring you to a page where it's going to have you type in a new password, and then also a reset confirmation code, which is texted to that phone number that you entered in on the previous screen.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Paige, can you go back to the Caregiver app?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see Pam's come in. One more thing I want to highlight in the Caregiver app is the little credit card at the bottom. So this is new for the Caregiver app as well, and this has a lot of features in it that didn't have before. So the first one is edit payment info. So this is going to be useful when you are wanting to change your banking information with us. So you're going to enter it in here, checking, savings, things like that. So you can cancel out of that. So that's new. And you can also change your tax info. It said resubmit tax info there too. And then additionally, these are all your stats. These are the same, your stats you can view. You can also view your pay stubs that way. If you go up a little bit, Paige, and click on, yeah.
Which one? This week?
Mm-hmm.
Or short?
Yep, and this work by. Go ahead,
So,
DJ.
Okay.
Actually, if you scroll down, Paige, I don't think we have it hooked up, because in order to look at pay stubs, you do have to have it linked to a live caregiver.
Okay.
Through every. So our demo app doesn't have this, but everyone else's app should have a little section that says pay stubs, and it'll say like past, 9, or I think it's like 60 days or something, and then it'll have a list where you can go through and download them.
DJ knows the best. And then additionally in this section that's new is your tax documents. So all your tax documents have been mailed to you, and they should be to you by this weekend, hopefully Monday at the latest. They're mailed out this week. But if you want it early, or next year if you want it early, they will be placed here so you can download them. So you'll be able to click on it, and it's a PDF, and you can download it and then email it to yourself, email it to your tax guy, however you want to do it that way. Okay, thanks, babe.
Yep. And then is that it for here? And then right here is just where you'll see all your past shifts that you've worked and the things associated with them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it for the Caregiver app?
That I can think of right now, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go through some of these questions. The app on my phone does not work. Biometric is not letting me log in. When I remove biometrics, I'm getting the 3 bouncing balls on the login screen, which was what happened when I tried to clock out of a shift this morning. I use an Android. I uninstalled and reinstalled the app. I restarted my phone. DJ.
Hey, Eric. Actually, yeah, I spoke with you and Pam about this. So we actually released a, and this was in regards to the Caregiver app, right? Yeah, Eric. Yeah. So we actually pushed out an update for the Caregiver app. So what I'll do is, or actually, if you want to go into the Play Store where you downloaded it, delete it again, and then reinstall it. You should be getting the latest version. We did patch that
4 or 5 times this morning.
this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this might be too much to do on here, and so I don't know if you want to call us again or not.
Okay. Yeah, I can follow up with you on a separate call for sure.
Pam's is working. I don't know why. Mine is not. She said I got fired.
Okay.
So who knows?
Yeah, we'll get you taken care of.
All right. I'm good.
And then Sarah, I know you talked a little bit. We were talking yesterday about your app as well. I didn't know if you were able to do that this morning or try that, and if yours is still having a problem as well, let me know or put in the chat, and then we can connect after this as well.
And then I'm going to read this last question in here. Is it possible to make it so that when we have caregivers work an overnight shift, that we can create a shift overnight so we don't have to wake up at midnight to clock out and clock in?
I can sort of take that. I didn't know if DJ, you wanted to answer that. So the reason that the carriers have to clock in and clock out at midnight is because of the type of respite code that you have. So if your respite is in quarter hours, it accounts for every 15 minutes every 15 minutes is 1 unit. And so when they're overnight, it's switching to another day. So they have to actually clock out at 11:59 and then clock back in at 12 a.m. to count for that next day. But if your respite is in daily units, that is a length of time and extent, a window of time for so many hours, then they wouldn't have to clock in and clock out. They would just clock in at whatever time the night starts. So they would put them to bed at 8, essentially they can go to sleep or watch or whatever it is they're doing over that overnight shift. And then it automatically clocks them out when that respite shift is done. They don't have to do anything. So it's tricky because I don't know why your support coordinator or why support coordinators put them in quarter hours or in daily units. I think it's what's given to you by Medicaid. So I don't know if it can be switched, but it might be something you talk to your support coordinator about as well to see if it's possibly to switch them over to daily units, and then your caregivers wouldn't have to do that. I don't know if any of that's wrong, DJ. Feel free to jump in.
No, that's right actually. And then there was an issue that we were running into previously with payroll, was that at the end of the pay period, right? If there was an overnight shift, so I believe on a Saturday night, if it bled into Sunday, half of the shift is supposed to stay on Saturday, and then the other half was supposed to start on Sunday. So technically 2 separate shifts. But what would happen was if they just let their shift run overnight and clock out on Sunday, payroll wouldn't actually get that information until Sunday. Therefore, sometimes moving the payroll or the caregiver above 40 hours for the following week, and then not putting the hours on essentially the correct pay period. So that was something that we ran into early on, and then kind of added together with overnight respite care and quarter and daily units. It's kind of just we've kept it that way. So we'll figure out a workaround. Yeah.
Great question though. Do we want to try to demo the shift correction on this call, Cassie?
Sure.
Okay. So we have a new feature that I think a lot of you will love and some of you might not. I'll let you decide, but it's called a shift correction. And so essentially for people that forget to clock in or forget to clock out and things like that, the caregiver can now go into the Caregiver app and submit a shift request correction. And so I guess, do we have a way, DJ, do you know what the most efficient way to show that in the Caregiver app when we don't have a demo right now?
I would just actually go into one of the previous shifts. And then click into, in the little credit card info. Yep. And then if you want to just click on any of the previous shifts that we closed out, so Jane Thursday, yep. And then you would do a request to clock in. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yep. So if you forgot to clock out or whatever it might be, you can adjust this. So say you actually worked until 2 instead of 10:24, you worked until 2:24. So you can adjust this right here and hit done, and then submit request for time change. And then it says requested shift times must be within 1 hour of scheduled shift times and before midnight. So let's see.
Yeah, let's see. So because wait, let's see.
It says 3 p.m. and I'm saying 2:24, so that should work, right?
Yeah, it should click on submit time
Start
request.
time page.
What was that, Desiree?
It's the start time is an hour and 10 minutes.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, so that should work. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
So now it is sending this shift correction to the PIC Pink app. And so you will switch over to the Pink app and log in. Oh, gotta get my password again. Okay. So now in the Pink app, you can see time change requests, and you can, the person in charge should be able to click that, and then they can approve the request and approve it. So now that caregiver is getting billed for the exact times that they worked, and this will prevent you guys from having to email us and have us change it on our end. We've now empowered you with the ability to change it on your end. Of course, if ever needed, you're always more than welcome to email us, but this just empowers you guys to be able to make those changes on your own without having to email us if you don't want to. I know a lot of people have mentioned that they don't like emailing in and having to ask us for that help. So now this puts that power and ability in their hands. But if you ever want to have us do it, we're more than happy as well. But you do have the ability. Any other questions? Oh, DJ.
Also, more of just like a little information. So what we're doing now is we're going to try and schedule releases. So any sort of app updates or any feedback that you guys are providing to us, we're going to be taking into account weekly, and then we're going to be adding features, top priority features into the next rollout. And we're going to be trying to do more consistent rollouts, either every week or every 2 weeks. So yeah, you guys will just be updating the apps for like the latest and newest features, and it should be solving, some of these issues or feedbacks or even stuff that we notice. We will fix and then also add that into the update. So,
Starla, I'm going to go back to the Caregiver app and show that to you again. So what was happening? She was saying that she kept getting that same error message that I was initially getting and was wondering how that worked. So, I'll go in and I'll hit request a clock in, clock out change. So what was happening was it has to be within the hour. Is that correct?
I believe it's 1.5 hours of the start time.
Okay. So the start time says 6:53, and I had it for like, if it's outside of that and you go to submit the time change, it says requested shifts must be within 1 hour of scheduled shift times and before midnight. So 4:58 is like a full 60 minutes. So I think if I had done like even 4:59, let's see if that works. Nope. But if I do 5:59, oh wait, because the start change was
So the start.
Yeah, because the start time was 6:53, so it has to be within an hour of 6:53. So now that it says 5:59, I'm within an hour plus or minus of that start time, and I can hit that submit change. Oh.
Change your clock out time as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now 8:59. Okay. And so yeah, now my times were plus or minus an hour of those start times and end times, and so it will let me clock in. So if you're having that problem and it's still not working for you, feel free to email and we can adjust it on our end. But try to be within those hour windows of the correction. Otherwise, we will have to do it on our end. Anything else from anyone?
I'm jumping in really late, and you may have already covered this, but on Wednesdays, I go in and clean for the mom's son. And how do I enter my notes for that? Because like there's not behavior issues or anything like that. So I don't know how I'm supposed to complete the shift.
My gut reaction is that your notes probably aren't super applicable for those types of billing codes, and you can maybe just write that in the notes, but I'm going to let Cassie say that if she feels otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that is true. So when you're doing HSQ or CHA codes, so those are both homemaker services as cleaning codes, chore codes, essentially cleaning. The client doesn't even need to be there. So yeah, you're not doing direct behavioral things with the clients. However, we put these notes on every single shift just so that it's consistent. And so you can write what you did. You can write in the first box, like I cleaned this, whatever it is you clean. It can be the same every week. And then the second box, you can say, I can't remember what all the questions were, but you can say this does not apply because I don't work directly with the client. That would probably be enough. Okay. So we did go over it. There's a character minimum and it's 50 characters. So that's usually about 7 to 10 words. So you can copy and paste, this doesn't apply for whatever reason every single time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great question. Anything else?
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Will you remind me what I hit at the bottom of the page? If like this, I take him to work and I pick him up, those shifts are pretty consistent every week. And you said we could do that. Do you pin it? Is that what you're doing, is pinning it?
Yeah. So if you, if it was for like a work shift, like you're describing, you could do like Jane work, and then you would go to the bottom and you would click save the shift for next time. And you would hit yes. And then you would hit create shift. So then the next time you went to go make that working shift, all you would have to do is hit create shift from templates right here. And then you would pick the one that says Jane work, and it would auto populate all the data for you.
Okay. All
then
right.
you
I
just
missed
have
that.
Yep. And then you just change the date and then hit submit again, and it will send it off.
Super. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's been really helpful.
Awesome. We love to hear that. Any other questions that we can answer at this time? Nicola, did I see you wave a hand? Yep, go ahead. You just need to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're great.
I have a new caregiver for one of our children, and I have two, and it's the middle of the week, and I have to get started with one another. And how? I mean, I'm worried that it might affect the hours on one and the hours on the other. How does that go? Because I'm so confused with that.
Yeah. So if your client has the ability to have 40 hours of caregiving services in a week per your budget of your plan, then you would have to split those hours between those two caregivers. So they both couldn't get their own 40 hours. One could do 20 and the other could do 20. One caregiver could work 30 hours and one could do 10. You'll just kind of have to decide what the best split is for the hours that you have, and then just keep track of that. And when you click on the caregiver from your team, it will show you right here in this window in your app how many hours each person has worked. So you can kind of gauge that a little bit. But as long as you stay within your plan budget for the caregivers on your team, your client won't run out of hours, but because you're now using two caregivers instead of one, their hours may become reduced that they're able to work just because you're using two caregivers now. Does that answer your question?
No, I have two, clients. And so I need one caregiver for each client now. And so, I mean, do they each get 40 hours for each client, or how does that work?
It depends on your budget that you have for those clients. That might be a better question for your support coordinator.
Yeah.
But if they potentially both have 40 hours, then yes, each caregiver would work 40 hours. And I guess when you have multiple clients, DJ, correct me if I'm wrong, there's like a toggle and you toggle between the two clients in your one app, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. And so
that's correct.
So yeah, you'll be able to do potentially, depending on how many hours, 40 hours for one caregiver and then 40 hours
With the other.
with the other caregiver with the other client.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, Paige, do you mind if I hop on with my screen share really quick? I'm gonna just show where that 40 hour, like where it says 40 hours.
Yep.
Like
Let me turn mine off. Oh, stop sharing. There we go.
Okay. All right. So if you, on the home screen, if you just click on the hamburger menu and you go to the Teams page, it'll load all of the caregivers that are a part of your team, and then it'll actually show three. So with Carrie, she's worked 3.13 hours out of the 40. And then on top of that, when you go to create a shift and you select Carrie, it'll also show that in the list as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Super helpful.
Okay.
Well, if you guys are all satisfied and squared away with the apps for today, then I will go ahead and close out this call. But if you have any questions in the future, please know that you're always welcome to email us at support@Giv.care, and we're happy to help serve you in any way we can. And we will look forward to meeting with you guys in March for our next webinar. There'll be some emails coming out in a few weeks about that. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you next time.